we're moving into the wonderful world of percentages, which is actually pretty exciting. I'm going to go through this video. There's going to be some guided notes that I'm going to give out in class. If you don't have them, then you can get them from my website. Okay, look in the folder, the digital folder. But again, we're going to use proportions and talk about percentages. All right, so first let's review real quick. A proportion. So what is a proportion? So a proportion is when we have two equal ratios. Okay, so when we're comparing two different things using, it doesn't even have to be different units. I just gave some context to this one. But when you have two equal ratios, so like let's say one day I work $48, or I make $48 for working 6 hours, and then I work another time and I make $24 for working 3 hours. Well, these are equivalent, right? You can see this is working the half the time, right? 3 hours is half the time of 6. 24 is half the amount of 48. So this would be an equal ratio. They're basically saying the same thing. Okay. And they also are equaling this unit rate underneath here, right? So a unit rate is when we compare to 1, right? When we compare to 1, right? One unit, right? Whatever's in the denominator. Or the independent variable, right? That's not right. Independent variable. Okay. Okay. So these are all saying the same thing. $40 in 5 hours would be the same as making $8 in 1 hour. Okay, now let's talk about what a percent is, okay? Percent is, instead of doing it for 1 hour, I want to look and say, all right, what happens if I do this for 100 hours, okay? So this is when we compare to 100, okay? So a unit rate is when we have one of those parts, right? We break it down to one part. It's often easy to use this than to calculate other things, right? So if I do $8 for 1 hour, well, how much would it be for 4 hours? And how much would it be for 6 hours? Okay. Well, sometimes what we're going to do is we're going to use this idea of percentage, right? So in this case, I would make $800, right, for 100 hours. But we're going to use the percentage. Sometimes it doesn't work out as easily to use 1. Okay, sometimes it makes a little more sense to use 100. And we're going to do many examples, and I'll show you lots of real-life context as to when and where that actually happens. But let's get into our guided notes, because I don't want to make this video too long. Okay, so I really want you to just sort of follow along, take out your notes, and I'm just going to walk you through these, okay? So this is talking about write the equivalent values for the following parts of a candy bar. So imagine that gray, this area over here on the left, this is a candy bar, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to change this and convert each part into a fraction, a decimal, percent. We're going to do this over and over again, okay? So that you get an idea of what this looks like. Okay, so if I took one part of this, I'd take, let's change this blue. I'd take one part, right, out of 2. All right, I have 2 pieces and I get to keep one of them. All right, 2 parts would be saying it's been divided into 2 pieces. I get to keep 2. Okay. Now, the decimal for 1/2, okay, the decimal is 0.5. Okay, 0.5. The percent on this is, if you think about it, this is why decimals and percentages work so nicely, is 0.5 is the same as 0.50, right? 50 hundredths. And if it's out of, right, and this is out of 100, right, out of 100, then you can take this and multiply it by 100, okay, which if you actually look at it, we're really just talking about how many hundredths I have. So if you just actually look at the hundredths place, this will tell you what your percent is. So if I look here, here's my hundredths place, I have 50%. Okay, and I think many of you often have heard this idea of half off, 50%. It's a 50-50 chance, that kind of thing. Okay, and so then what about this one? I have 2 parts, right? Well, what's this decimal? Well, 2 divided by 2, right? This would be 1. I'd have the whole thing. Now, when you do percentages, though, remember you want to write this so that you have hundredths. Okay, so then you're going to look at this, and here's my hundredths place here. What do I have? I have 100%. Okay, and there we go. All right, let's move on. Fraction for this one. it's been divided into 3 pieces. I get to keep one of them, okay? Now, we've talked about this a bunch of times before. I'm going to start expecting you to just quickly be able to go between fractions and decimals, okay? If you need to practice your long division to get there, then do it. If you want to memorize it, then memorize it. We're going to do some quizzes on it. It's going to definitely help you, okay? So 1/3 is the same as 0.3 repeating, right? So that's going to be 0.3 and on and on and on. So I'm going to put in 2 3s, right? Because it's going to keep going. And this would be 33%. Okay, again, I'm going to look here at my hundredths place. All right, now let's look at 2 parts. Okay, it's been divided into 3 pieces. I get 2 of them. Well, let's just double this. Okay, this is going to be 0. And I'm going to do this a little differently. This is going to be 0.6 repeating. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 0.6. 6, and I'm going to put in 3 places because I'm looking here and I'm going to actually have to round up. So this is going to be 0.67. Okay. Now, if you use the calculator for this and you did 2 divided by 3, what you'll notice is it'll say 0.6 and all, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, repeating over and over again. And then at the very end, it says 7. That's because the calculator is also rounding it up. Okay. So this is 67%. Okay, I want you to try the next one on your own. Go ahead. All right, so 4 parts. The fraction should be relatively easy. Divide these all into 4 parts. 4 parts. Okay, I got 1/4. I've got 2/4, and I've got 3/4. Okay, well, 1/4. If you listen to that, that's like saying 25 cents, and 2/4 would be like 50 cents. That's the same as a half, and 3/4 is 75 cents. Okay, and then all I have to do is look at my hundredths place, right? 25%. Okay, 50%. And if you think about it, right, if you look at this as money, 25 cents. Notice here that word I said, cent. Cent means 100. So 25 cents, 25%. Ho, ho, ho. Coincidence? No. All right, some other places you might hear that word cent. Where might you think of a word? Where have you heard that word cent other than with money and percent? Okay, maybe century. If you play any of those old sort of Roman gladiator games, maybe you've heard centurion, right? 1 of 100 soldiers, that kind of thing. Centimeter, there you go. 1 out of 100 meter, 1/100th of a meter. Okay, 5 parts. 5, 5, 5, and 5. Okay, and then I'm going to have 1, and this is 2 parts, and 3 parts, and this is 4 parts. What's my decimal? Okay, well, we talked about 1/5 in class. Okay, I hope you remember. 1/5 is the same as 2/10. Did you hear? I just said it. 2/10. Okay, and then I'm going to make my hundredth in there. So if this is 1/5, right, then 2/5 is going to be twice that, and this will be 3 of those, and this will be 4. Notice, see, 4 times 2, 3 times 2, 2 times 2. And now I have my percentages. 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%. Okay? And a lot of times, again, the nice thing about using percentages is it takes a decimal or a smaller number, and then it allows us to use kind of a whole number equivalent. See how we use, 20% looks a little easier sometimes to work with than 0.2. All right, now I got another one, 10 parts. This one I hope will be relatively easy for you, so go ahead. Try to fill out the whole thing. Go. All right, 10 pieces, I get 1. 10 pieces, I get 2. 10 pieces, I get 3. 10 parts, pieces, I get 8. 10 pieces, I get 10. Okay. Well, these are already set up for you. All you gotta do is read them. Right. 1/10. 1/10. 2/10. 3/10. 8/10. 10/10. See? Right, I can't fit 10 of them in this place, right? I can fit 9 here, and in order to say 10, I got to add 1 to here. Well, I don't have hundredths places, so I'm going to add hundredths on each of these, okay? And now I can just write it, okay? 10%, 20%, 30%, 80%, and 100%, okay? It's not just these 2 numbers you look at. It's the whole thing. You're going to look at the ones place. If there's hundreds and tens in there, you add all those are part of the percentage. Okay, here's another one. These are going to be 6 parts, okay? So let's see. Oh, I shouldn't have done. You know what? Let's, well, I'll just give you This is 1/6, right? I should do this 6 parts divided by 2. This is 6 parts divided by 4. I'm just going to give you these decimals because if you try to do this, if you do long division on this, you get 0.16 and it keeps going, okay? So if I round this, I need to round it to here, okay? That's my hundredths. This becomes 17%, okay? All right, 2/6, that's the same as 1/3, which we saw earlier was 0.3 repeating. Put these out there, round here, this rounds to 33%. And then 4/6 is the same as 2/3. We did that one earlier. Okay, round it to this one, it's going to be 67%. Okay, and then let's do the eighths. All right, so divided by 8, get 1, divided by 8, get 2, divided by 8, get 7. Okay, again, the decimal here is going to be, this is 0.125. This is 2/8 is the same as 1/4. And then 7/8 is 0.875, okay? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to try to figure out what are the 3 percentages that go here. Okay, if we round this one, okay, this one will be 13%. If we want to be real accurate, you actually can just call it 12.5%. Okay, because remember it's per 100, so I'm looking here. All right, but we can go with 13%. This one will be 25%. And this one, depending on how you want to write it, it'll either be, if I round it, this will be 88%. If I want to go super accurate, it's actually 87.5%. Okay, if you don't understand this part, don't worry about it right now. Okay, moving on. I want you to go ahead and go ahead, pause the video, try it, and then check your answers here in a second. Okay, good. This one, remind me, we'll talk about this in class. Use the grid to show a fraction for 6 over 100. Well, if there's 100 here, then I'm going to go just shade in 6, right? So I'm going to go, I like to go down. All right, that looks like 6. Okay, what fraction is shown is in this 10 by 10 grid? Well, I don't even really, each one of these is 10, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this would be 36 out of 100, okay? Which is the same as 36%, which is 0.36. Okay, let's look at this one. Well, it's 2 rows of 10, okay? So 2 rows of 10 is going to be, well, you can look at this as 20 out of 100, right? Or it's 2/10, which is the same as 1/5, right? And this is going to be, the decimal is 0.2, and if you want to do 0.20, and then again, this would be 20%. Okay, so the next one. All right, so we want to shade the given decimal in each one below. All right, so that's too big. That'll work. All right, so go ahead, you try this, go. All right, this one. 10, 27. Okay. 10, 20, 35. This one is 0.4. So what is that? Well, this is 40 hundredths, right? Remember, add 0. So you just go 1, 2, 3, 4. You could also look at it as 4/10, right? If you think of each one of these rows as, right, don't even look at the ones going across, just the ones going down. There's 10 of them, so you get 4 of those. Excuse me. All right, this is like 1/8. Okay, so I get 10, 1/10, and then I'm going to get 2, and then I'm going to get a half of 1, which is a little bit hard to do here. There you go. All right, fraction equivalent. So this one, like we said before, well, so what we could do here is, so see it, this is 125 thousandths. So it's 125 over 1,000. There you go. But I'm hoping that, excuse me, sorry about this, got this allergies going on. This, if you keep dividing, or if you were paying attention earlier, this is the same as 1/8. Okay. This is, we could say it's either 40 over 100, or we could say it's 4/10, or you could say it's 2/5 if you want to simplify it all the way. This one is 35 hundredths, right? If you read it, you can say it, right? 4/10, boom, done, 4/10. 35 hundredths, 35 hundredths. Okay, and if you want to simplify this one, you divide both the top and the bottom by 5. This is 20, and that would be 7. Okay, you didn't have to do that though. I'm just doing it for you. And then this one is just 27 hundredths. That's it. Can't simplify it. All right. Let's go ahead and do these. Right? Ready? So you want to shade in the fraction. So half of this grid. So half of this grid would be 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Let's do this one. A quarter. So 1/4 of 100 is, let's see, 10, 20, 25. Okay. 1/10 is just one row. 1/5 is going to be 2/10. So we're going to do 2 rows of that. All right. So then what's my decimal here? Well, this is going to be, right, half of 100 is 50, so 0.50. And my percent is 50%. Okay, what's my decimal here? Well, 1/4 was 0. It's 25 hundredths, so it's 25%. Okay, decimal 1/10, you could say 0.1. That's 1/10, right? 1/10. I'm going to add a 0 so that it makes it easier for me to look here to say 10%. All right, and then finally I've got 1/5. This is going to be 0.2, right? I've got 2/10 or 21 hundredths, which is 20%. Okay, let's do this last one. This last row here, so 1 out of 100. So 1/8, we did 1/8 earlier, right? Remember, it was 12.5. So 12.5. And then 1/3 is going to be 33. And then part of 1. So it's just a little bit of that next one, maybe like a third. And then 1/9. Okay, so 1/9 is actually 1/3 of this. 1/9 is what is 1/9? 0.81 repeating, I think. Let's see, 0.81. No, it's sorry, it's 0.1 repeating. So it's going to be just a little tiny bit there too, just a sliver there. Okay, and you could have done those with your long division. Okay, so let's go through these. 1/100th, 0.01, so that's 1%. 1/8, we did this before, was 0.125, so that's 12.5%. Or you could have said 13% if you wanted to. 1/3, 0.333, repeating and repeating, right? So this was 33%. Okay, and this decimal is 0.1 repeating, which is like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, which will be 11%. Okay, and these ones right here, these are rounded. Those are rounded values. Okay, so I'm running out of time, so you don't have to do. Actually, I would like you to practice. Do the long division. If you run out of time, but I understand. But I would really like you to practice so that you get. I know a bunch of you forgot how to do this in the last quarter test, so do some long division, right? Remember, they're setting it up for you. Here's 1 divided by 2, right? 1 divided by 2, so I'm going to do 1 divided by 4, okay? You're going to have to break it. I mean, I always like to just break it into a bunch of pieces. So 4 goes into 1, 0 times, okay? So now I'm going to put my decimal here, because now I'm working with tenths. So 10/10 divided by 4, I can use 2 of them. That uses up 8. Subtract. There's 2 left over. That's not enough to share with 4, so I'm going to make it into smaller pieces. Those pieces are hundredths. Now I have 20 hundredths. 20 hundredths divided into 4 groups gives me, I give 5 each. That uses up all 20. There's nothing left, so this is why it's 0.25, okay? All of these are proper fractions. All of them should be less than 1, so if you reverse it on accident and you get a number bigger than 1, you should catch yourself. Okay, we will see you in class.